Well, coming up next, I talked with West Palm Beach lawyer Joe Rodowicz. And in an interview taped earlier, I asked Joe what kind of law he was practicing.
Primarily, we practice in the areas of foreclosure defense, bankruptcy, mortgage modification, short sales. We're more or less an all-inclusive practice. We handle debt settlement, anything out there in the debt relief arena, we handle it all.
If somebody is really hurting, which usually they are, if they're in foreclosure, they got credit card debt, they got all kinds of, they need a short sale, they need modification, and you got the whole deal right there, right?
That's correct. So you don't have the issue of whether or not somebody's trying to sell you something because they want to get you to sign up for what they do. What we do is we show everything out there that is available, and we say these are the pros, these are the cons, these are the costs, these are the risks, etc. And then you can make the determination as to whether or not you think this particular avenue or that particular avenue is the best for you. And most of the time, it's usually a package. You want to do something over here, you want to do a bankruptcy, and you also want to do a modification to save the house. Sometimes you want to short sell the property, sometimes you need to settle off credit card debt and just do a modification and you avoid bankruptcy altogether. So there's lots of different ways you can put a debt relief package together that doesn't involve just going one way or the other way.
Down South Florida here, I'm sure this happens all over the country, we're flooded with media ads on debt relief programs.
I'm sure.
Now, tell me, are some of these good, some of these bad? What's the take on that?
Well, I think that you got to be careful. There's been a lot of scams out there. There have been a lot of things where people have just taken money and run off and then shut down, disappeared, opened up a new company, all the way throughout the country, even folks in South Florida. We've all gotten the paperwork that says, oh, come in and get a mortgage modification, or you're entitled to a lower rate of 2%. And almost everybody's gotten that mailer. I know I've gotten it several times, and at the bottom you'll see in very, very tiny, tiny print that it'll say that they're not associated with the bank, and they're basically some company in California that's just trying to solicit your business to get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in order to get something done, and then you give them the money and you never hear from them again, and next thing you know, they're shut down and you're calling the Attorney General's office, etc. My suggestion to folks is stay local, stay with somebody that you can see, somebody that you can walk into the office and that you can see that's dealing with all those types of issues.
Yeah, I know, because some of the people I've talked to get involved with this, okay, everything is started up, the contract signed right here locally. Next thing they know, they're talking to somebody in Utah or India, for crying out loud.
And that's one of the differences of hiring somebody who's not an attorney versus somebody who is actually an attorney. If you're an attorney, you're licensed to practice in a geographical area.
Right.
I'm licensed in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Florida. My primary practice is down here in South Florida, so anywhere from the Treasure Coast all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, and even if we had to, we'd go to Miami. So to any in that area, we are focusing on helping people in this area, so you can come and see us. We're not going to just disappear. We're not going to sell off your contract to somebody else in California to go and to deal with your loan modification. We handle it all locally.
Upcoming a flood of foreclosures. There's been stalled recently because of phony foreclosure papers being submitted to the court. So all the banks and the servicers have pulled back. But there's going to be a tsunami coming.
I think so.
What do you think? What's your comment on that?
I think there's going to be a lot more. I think there's a lot more pain coming. I think there's going to be a lot more foreclosures. And the other thing that's happening is that a lot of folks are being surprised at how fast things are moving with newer cases. Newer foreclosure cases are moving faster than the older ones because the courts are more efficient. They're pushing these cases to get them to a resolution one way or the other. And it's a matter of making sure that you, as the consumer, you as the homeowner, make sure that you take advantage of every opportunity you have and to defend your rights. Sitting back, sticking your head in the sand, not doing anything, and then coming in when there's a sale date is not a situation that you want to be in.
When the world is caving in on you because of all the problems associated with foreclosure, debt, loan modification stuff, that's not the time to come to you. It's before.
Right, before you decide that that's going to happen, before you run out of money, before you miss that first payment, that's when you should be coming in and say, look, I'm going to miss this payment. That's reality.
Yeah.
Now, the next question is which payments do you want to make? Do you want to make the credit card payments? Do you want to make the mortgage payment? Do you need to pay your second mortgage? Which are the obligations that you should not pay? Which are the obligations that you should pay? You could put yourself in a situation by not paying your mortgage when you can afford to keep the house, but keep paying the credit card payments when in reality maybe the best decision for you is to keep making the mortgage payment and cut off the credit cards and file a bankruptcy or settle off the credit cards at 30 cents on the dollar or 40 cents on the dollar, whatever happens to work out for you, depending on what the situation is.
It's pretty easy working with the credit card people.
It is. It's getting a little bit more difficult. There's been some aspects of it with the Federal Trade Commission that's come in and changed a lot of the regulations. There's previously, people were taking upfront fees, and they were taking a substantial amount of money, and you would pay in $800 a month,
right.
and you would pay that for 10 months, and that would be all fee. And at the end of that 8 months, most people stop paying. Usually 8-10 months in those debt settlement programs, people stop paying. Those folks have been paid in full. You've got basically no relief. Maybe one credit card got settled, and at the end of the day, you're stuck. In the wake of some of the regulatory changes in the last year, the banks have been a little bit more difficult in terms of being able to deal with them because they're worried about making sure that the folks that they're dealing with are complying with the law to the extent it applies to them.
How about loan bonds? Are they getting any better on that? That used to be, it used to be a disaster trying to get a loan bond.
It still is difficult, but if you submit the proper paperwork and you do it in the correct manner, and you continually follow up on it, you can get them done. I know it's a pain in the neck because it takes us every now and again, 18 months sometimes to get them done because you just can't get the bank to process it. I have noticed, and we've changed a lot of the philosophy in terms of how we're filing. A lot of folks who were filing a bankruptcy before we were waiting for the modification to be completed and then file the bankruptcy. We've found recently that we've been able to get loan modifications done in bankruptcy and kind of get everything done in the same period. And it's been a lot quicker. The last one I did, we filed a motion to compel mediation. The judge allowed it for the first time in South Florida, and we ended up getting not only a loan modification, but in that case, we got the rare event of a substantial principal balance reduction of about $93,000. So this person got to keep their house. I have other folks.
Well, that's the major. They got to keep their house. Listen, Joe, thanks a lot for being here, and keep at it, man. Save these people from getting kicked out on the streets.
That's the best part. I'm telling you right now, that's the best part. Yeah. When somebody sees everything come together. And the last hearing I was just at in bankruptcy court, it ended in a hug. They were just everything was over. They were just so happy.
All righty, Joe. God bless you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll return right after these words.